Late 2025. Inside a softly lit authorized Rolex boutique, a salesman delivers the same line he's rehearsed all year. Demand has never been higher. He says it with confidence, with reassurance, with a tone designed to calm frustration. The buyer nods. He has heard it before. Outside on his phone, listings tell a different story. Prices slipping, inventory growing, premiums thinning. And a question begins to surface. Quietly at first, then unavoidably. Is Rolex still worth buying? Or is it just overpriced hype? For decades, Rolex occupied a unique position. It was the default symbol of success. Recognizable without being loud, expensive without being absurd. Owning one meant something, not because it was rare, but because it was earned. But the market has changed, and Rolex has changed with it. The problem is not that Rolex lost quality. The problem is that it gained attention. The shift from luxury to content. Rolex used to live on wrists. Now it lives on screens, YouTube breakdowns, TikTok price charts, Instagram wrist shots with captions about investments. Watches became content. And when something becomes content, it stops being personal. Middle-class buyers began treating Rolex like a financial strategy instead of a timepiece. The brand didn't fight this narrative. It benefited from it. But every benefit has a cost. Revelation 1. Rolex is no longer discreet. Discretion is the foundation of elite luxury. Once everyone knows exactly what something is worth, it loses mystique. A steel Rolex Submariner used to suggest quiet success. Today, it suggests familiarity with hype cycles. In private circles, Rolex is no longer interesting. Not because it's bad, but because it's predictable. Rich buyers don't want predictable. They want distance from the crowd. Revelation 2. Waitlists are theater, not scarcity. Authorized dealers love to talk about waitlist. They sound exclusive, they feel elite, but scarcity only matters when production is truly limited. Rolex produces hundreds of thousands of watches every year. The wait is not about supply. It's about control. Control over perception. Control over demand pacing. Control over who feels lucky. Rich buyers recognize this immediately. Middle-class buyers interpret it as prestige. That gap in understanding defines the entire debate. Revelation 3. Resale value distorted the brand. Rolex's reputation for holding value used to be a side benefit. Now it's the main attraction. And that changes behavior. People buy watches they don't love. They avoid wearing them. They treat scratches like financial damage. A luxury watch that creates anxiety is not luxury. Rich buyers do not enjoy owning things they are afraid to use. So they move toward brands where enjoyment comes first. Revelation 4. Prices outpaced emotional value. Rolex prices have climbed steadily, not dramatically, but persistently. Each increase feels manageable, until you stop and ask what you're actually getting. The same designs, incremental updates, familiar movements. At some point, the emotional return diminishes. Rich buyers notice this early. Middle-class buyers notice it only after purchase. Revelation 5. The wrong people became the loudest advocates. When a brand's loudest defenders are speculators and resellers, something has gone wrong. Rolex conversations are now dominated by market predictions, exit strategies, allocation complaints, not craftsmanship, not design philosophy, not joy. That environment repels seasoned collectors. They want watches, not debates. So, is Rolex still worth buying? The honest answer depends on who you are. If you want recognition, Rolex still delivers. If you want safety, Rolex still performs. If you want resale protection, Rolex remains strong. But if you want distinction, discretion, and depth, the value proposition weakens. Rolex is no longer underpriced excellence. It is fairly priced mass luxury with elite branding. And that is a very different thing. Who should still buy Rolex? Rolex still makes sense for first-time luxury buyers, people who want reliability without research, those who value recognition. There is nothing wrong with that. But it must be an honest decision, not a fantasy purchase. Who should think twice? Collectors seeking uniqueness, buyers tired of hype cycles, those who value under-the-radar craftsmanship. For them, Rolex may feel loud, and once something feels loud, it's hard to unhear. The psychology of overpriced hype. Hype inflates expectations faster than value. When expectations collapse, disappointment follows. Rolex is approaching that psychological threshold, not collapse, correction, not failure, normalization. The next phase for Rolex will not disappear. It will not lose relevance overnight, but its role will shift from symbol of wealth to symbol of safety, from insider's choice to mainstream luxury default. And defaults are rarely exciting. Rolex is still a good watch, but it is no longer a great secret. It is no longer a quiet signal. It is no longer misunderstood. It is visible, popular, predictable. Whether that makes it worth buying depends on what you want your watch to say. If you want applause, buy Rolex. If you want peace, look elsewhere. If you made it this far, subscribe for more breakdowns on luxury, money psychology, and the truth behind status symbols. And leave a comment below. Do you think Rolex is still worth it? Or has the hype finally caught up? Because real luxury doesn't shout. It waits to be understood.